The Phoenix Suns are currently in one of the most interesting situations in all of the NBA. They're 19-19, sitting at exactly 500. They're 10th in the Western Conference. They have the highest payroll in the NBA. Their second highest paid player on the team has a no trade clause, and he's averaging less than 20 points per game. It's a sticky situation. So I want to dive into what the Suns can do to either push towards further contention for a championship or hit that reset button and trade away their pieces, bring in picks, bring in young guys, bring in assets to try and move towards the future of a Phoenix Suns rebuild. Casuals only. Let's get it. As you can see, the Phoenix Suns are 19-19, exactly 500. And I was checking out their record against teams above 500 and below 500. Above 500, they're 10-15, so not very good against winning teams or good teams in the NBA. And they win the games for the most part against the teams that they should, below 500 teams. But then when you look at somebody like the Los Angeles Clippers, they're not very good against 500 teams or above 500 teams, just like the Suns, but they dominate the bad teams, the below 500 teams, which is something that the Suns kind of struggle to do. If you look at one of their last games, I think 4 or 5 games ago, they lost to the Hornets. That's a team you just shouldn't lose to if you're the Phoenix Suns. So then you go over here and check out the team payrolls. Phoenix Suns being the highest payroll in the NBA by $21 million, $226 million, and the next highest is $205 million, to then be sitting at 10th in the Western Conference. But then you look at some of the teams below them, skip over Minnesota, but Boston, Milwaukee, New York, those teams are some of the best teams in the NBA. They're top in the conference. And then if you go even deeper than that, you check out the player salaries. Kevin Durant, the 4th highest paid player in the league. Bradley Beal, the 5th highest paid player in the league. And then Devin Booker is down here. It's tied for 6th highest player or paid player in the league. But when you see Kevin Durant, Bradley Beal, and Devin Booker as 3 of the top 10 highest paid players in the league, and the production that you're getting is a 500 or below 500 team, that's exactly the opposite of what you traded for when you went out and got Kevin Durant and Bradley Beal. So then as a Pistons fan, I hear that Bradley Beal is saying that he doesn't want to come to Detroit or a rebuilding team like Detroit. As you can see here, Bradley Beal doesn't want to come to the Pistons, and the feeling is mutual. It's very mutual. We do not want that contract and that production. From what I was told from people close to Bradley Beal this week is that, look, would he okay a deal to another contender, Miami included? Yes. He ain't okaying a deal to like Detroit or Charlotte or a rebuilding team out there. He's not doing that. And it's funny because, I mean, it actually probably says it's here. This actually made me laugh as Detroit wants nothing to do with Beal anyway. Also, the Pistons currently have a better record than Beal's super team Suns, who have the highest payroll in the NBA. Exactly what I was going to say. And you may recall the Pistons beating the Suns back in December. Perhaps they should look at the standings where the Pistons are 1 game behind contenders, Miami and Milwaukee. As a Pistons fan, I saw this a couple days ago and I was thinking, you know what? If the Suns do end up going into a rebuild and they can't trade Bradley Beal away because he's no trade clausing everything, saying no to everything, and they do have to end up trading Kevin Durant or Devin Booker or both, and the Suns end up in a rebuild and Bradley Beal is still on the team that is rebuilding, the irony of that. So I think it's just funny, I understand where Bradley Beal is coming from. He spent a lot of time, not winning very much, especially after John Wall leaves from Washington. He spends a lot of years in a rebuilding Washington team. I understand he doesn't want to be on a rebuilding team anymore. He wants to go compete for a championship. He's making the money now. He doesn't even care about money anymore. He just wants to go win a chip, and I completely understand that. But calling out somebody like the Pistons is insane to me. A team that's already beat you, has a better record than you, and is looking way better than you. 8-1 this year. So I don't know what Bradley Beal is talking about. If anything, you got to mention teams like Charlotte, Utah, Portland. Those are the teams legitimately rebuilding. Those are the teams you don't want to go to. So then anyways, I was thinking, what's next for the Phoenix Suns? Why the Phoenix Suns should trade Kevin Durant. Now, this is a very long article. I'm going to skip through a lot of this and just pick out some of the more important stuff that I've read in here. So first of all, the Phoenix Suns are 16-6 when Durant and Booker share the floor, but in 594 minutes together. It's a pretty good sample size, like it says. Lineups featuring both of them are outscoring opponents by only 1.6 points per 100 possessions. This is far from a harbinger of hope, and I don't know what a harbinger is. A person or thing that announces or signals the approach of another. Harbinger? Is that how you say it? Not harbinger? Harbinger? I don't know. In fact, it pales in comparison to the rates of other top duos. Throw in Beal, who was recently and logically removed from the starting lineup, and the Suns' big 3 is minus 31 in 293 minutes. Obviously, some sort of move needs to be done. So then we jump down here, which is pretty much, the entire meaning of this article. This leads us to the question that simplifies the crux of this piece. What is the upside of keeping Durant? In what universe would Phoenix be closer to a title next year or the one after that? The man is 36 years old. It's theoretically possible, but not likely for him to remain a top 10 player over the life of this contract or over his next contract. So what's the point of keeping him? If they re-sign him and paddle their way through the Western Conference as an also ran for the next few seasons, maybe winning a playoff series or two, what will the come down look like? I don't understand what also ran means. Phoenix is not the only high leveraged, ambitious franchise that will have to ask itself tough questions under the CBA, which restricts movement and punishes big spenders trying to win it all. It's hard to call this dilemma a trend because every individual scenario has its own specific on and off court concerns. There are emotionally complicated variables tinged by fear and regret. Nobody wants to trade Steph Curry, LeBron James, Booker, Durant, or any of the fan favorites who still have excellence left in the tank. But there's also common sense. With all due respect, almost regardless of how their seasons end, if the Suns give Durant a 2-year, $120 million extension this summer, they're delusional. For the long-term health of Phoenix's organization, though, it should be willing to prioritize the retrieval of its own draft picks. It's a little complicated, but essentially the Rockets have swap rights this season, which they will likely use, plus Phoenix's unprotected first in 2027 and a protected first in 2029. Oh my gosh. If the Suns can get all of that back, plus another unprotected first rounder from the Rockets, Fred VanVleet and Jeff Green, just to fulfill salary requirements, they absolutely should. If Houston doesn't bite and chooses to wait and see how its young core does in the playoffs before making a run at someone like De'Aaron Fox or Booker this summer, Phoenix should pick up the phone and see how the 28 other teams feel about adding KD. Generally speaking, these Suns have the worst ROI in basketball history. Replenishment should be their word of the day every day until they have a future that isn't shrouded by dread. Would the Thunder have any interest in virtually guaranteeing themselves at least one NBA title with a full circle kumbaya? Could the Warriors be tempted to cap the dynastic run with one last hurrah? Could the Spurs have their cake and eat it too? Do the Magic see themselves as a team that's ready to win it all now? In all seriousness, assuming Franz Wagner returns this season, and are they willing to part with several picks and someone like Anthony Black to do it? Either way, they're trying to say that their way out of the situation is to trade Kevin Durant, recoup some of these draft picks, but you're still stuck with Bradley Beal, so where does that leave you? And the more I look through some of these articles proposing trades, none of them solve the Bradley Beal problem. The Suns receive Robert Williams and Duop Reith, and the Clippers receive Yusuf Nurkic. I don't know why the Clippers would want that, to be honest. So let me take a look at 3 other trades now that could possibly happen. Nurkic goes to the Lakers, and Rui and Christian Wood come to the Suns. It's whatever. The Nets get Josh Okogie in 2 seconds for Day'Ron Sharpe and Trendon Watford. Whatever. Gary Harris, Caleb Houston to the Blazers, Robert Williams, Toumani Camara to the Suns, Grayson Allen to the Magic. None of this solves the Bradley Beal fiasco. Where's Bradley Beal going? How are the Suns getting out of that? Because that's their biggest problem. Get rid of Bradley Beal, and a lot opens up for the Phoenix Suns. You're not going to get a lot in return for him. So, to be honest, making that Bradley Beal trade was probably the worst thing the Phoenix Suns could have done. You trade Devin Booker and Kevin Durant, you get a lot of draft capital, you get some assets, you get some young players, expiring contracts. And at that point, the Phoenix Suns have now clearly stated and shown the league that they're going into a full rebuild, in which Bradley Beal has indicated that he doesn't want to be on a rebuilding team. He's already said that. He talked about the Pistons. He talked about the Hornets. He said he doesn't want to go to a rebuilding team. The Suns are indicating that they're rebuilding, which means they're going to have to get rid of Bradley Beal. He's not going to want to be there anymore. And I think that's the route you go. You get off all of this money. You don't have the largest payroll in the league anymore. You go into a full rebuild and you try and build for the future. Now, if you're Matt Ishbia, you got to be pretty upset with the way all of this went down. You buy the team. The team's looking pretty decent. You go and acquire Kevin Durant. You got to be happy with acquiring Kevin Durant. I mean, he's one of the best players in the NBA, one of the greatest players of all time. If you can get Kevin Durant on your team, you go out and get Kevin Durant. But it all ended when they went and got Bradley Beal. The no trade clause really hurts. The 6th highest salary or the 5th highest salary in the NBA absolutely hurts. And if I'm Matt Ishbia, I'm pretty upset. But the assets you can bring in with Kevin Durant and Devin Booker, it'll help a lot. It's not going to be what you probably have paid, but if you can go acquire your picks and get them back from Houston and other teams that are owning those Phoenix Suns picks, I think that's the route you have to try and go. And I know Suns fans have gone through this rebuild already, especially with Devin Booker. When you got him, the Suns were not good for a long time with Devin Booker, and you finally get good. You get over that hump. You make an NBA Finals appearance, and then all of this happens. It's got to be very disheartening, and I feel for you Phoenix Suns fans. But in my opinion, that's the best route to go. Trade your guys. Don't push towards the championship contention. You're only going to hurt yourself. You're going to let Kevin Durant walk at some point for absolutely nothing. Go get what you can for Kevin Durant. Get what you can for Devin Booker. Get what you can for Bradley Beal. Blow it up, and the Phoenix Suns will probably be in a better situation for the future rather than this stuck in the present that they're already in. So let me know what you guys are thinking. Should the Suns push towards championship contention even more and make these trades, or should they blow it all up, get rid of Devin Booker and Kevin Durant and Bradley Beal? Let me know, of course, in the comments. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. I appreciate all of you. Casuals only. I'm out.